Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving.
California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips.
And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios, which today, Randy Wang, is in Century City.
That's right. We are broadcasting live noon to 3 today from the Gelson's Wine Bar in Century City at the Westfield Century City Shopping Center. It is a beautiful day. It's a great Jimmy Buffett Friday. Tony is serving drinks back there in the bar. We are having a great time. $2 off tastings for beer flights and wine flights. You can get by the bottle right there. They give you a great price on some really good California Pinots, California Cabs. What can I say? I'm a wine guy. And, of course, we're at Gelson's, the premium food market. 27 incredible locations. The 28th location coming very soon to Olympic and Bundy right next to Fox 11.
Hey. And Randy, they're offering deals on the wine as well. I heard that if you come in a pilot's uniform, they give you 2 for 1.
I will have to confirm if that's one of the deals they do. But I know they definitely have $2 off beer and wine flights, and they're pouring some great stuff. If I was me and I was drinking right now, because I'm not, because I'm on the air, 301.
You're not in recovery, just to be clear.
Yes, I'm just not drinking from noon to 3 today.
Okay.
But I would love a bottle of Foxen right now. In fact, Jake, the marketing guy here at Gelson's, gave me a bottle of Foxen, so I'm very excited.
Well, we are so excited right now to have 2 very special guests with us in person. You watch them each weeknight delivering the news on Fox 11. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Fox 11's Marla Tellez and Elex Michaelson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I got to say, I do love our nighttime job, but this certainly beats that. I could get used to this. Look at these people out here. You're all so beautiful. Thank you so much.
A crowd that loves you in wine. Marla needs nothing else.
I know. It's the best.
That's it.
Now, it's been a very busy week for the two of you. Let's start with you, Marla, because you broke a big story this week that could shake up Los Angeles County government.
And I'm sure it didn't necessarily take you by surprise either, John, because the last time that I was on with you, you asked me if I had any inside information about what was the future of former LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva. And I said that he had told me in my previous interview with him that he had promised me that when he made that decision, he would bring it to me first. And as a man of his word, he called me on Friday a week ago, and he told me that he was going to be breaking this news this past Wednesday. He gave me the first interview on Tuesday night, and he says that he is vying for challenging incumbent, we all know her so well, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn in District 4.
That's your final warning.
Thank you, Randy. And he's ready for it. And there you have it. He hit the ground running with his official campaign launch from Whittier on Wednesday. Of course, we were there, and you know, Elex and I asked him, "What's your path forward?" Right? Because Janice Hahn, she's an institution. The name of Hahn is an institution. Kenneth Hahn, that's the administration building. Father's name's on the building. He was famously on the board for almost 40 years. Her brother was the mayor. So how do you go up against a Hahn, especially in District 4, which stretches from basically Torrance and Palos Verdes all the way to La Habra Heights, about 2 million residents, which each county district does have. How are you going to get those votes? Because he did lose District 4. Well, he lost the race overall, as we know, 69 to 31% to Luna, but he did lose District 4. There were some pockets that went for him. They're more heavily Latino, where he does have the vote. But how are you going to turn that district around in just 6 months? Because the March primary is 6 months away.
Well, I think Hahn's campaign already put out a statement showing that countywide, Villanueva lost the sheriff's race by 21 points, but in District 4, it was 19 points. So it's still quite a deficit he's going to have to make up.
Yeah, and he really banks on the fact that it was redrawn, but it was redrawn prior to the LA County Sheriff's race anyway. He says that it is more heavily Latino now, and he says that that vote will be stronger this time around because people are tired of just being afraid to go to the grocery store, just being afraid to go into where we were. It was a deli where his buddy owns a deli where he did his campaign launch, and it's been broken into 4 times in the last 3 years. And public safety is why he is running. I should mention that. Why is he running? Because he says that people are just so afraid, and the homelessness issue too. He wants to help that.
And this would be her 3rd and final term on the board should she be reelected.
Yeah, so this is a 2-time incumbent right now, and she's going for another 4 years. And to Randy's point, she put out a pretty pointed statement the other day from her campaign, calling him the Donald Trump of LA County, saying that he's a failure and a fraud, and obviously he takes umbrage with that.
Now, Elex, you, in addition to anchoring the news at weeknights, you also host The Issue Is, which airs Friday nights tonight on Fox 11. And you recently landed a big interview with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at his house.
Yes. Yeah, we spoke last night. That interview is going to air tonight. In addition to this this honking vehicle behind us. That's what happens when you get live radio out in the field, right? Robert F. Kennedy is probably the most controversial and maybe the most interesting person that's running for president. In a lot of ways, he's a contradiction. He comes from the most establishment of Democratic families, somebody whose obviously father was president, his father wasn't president, ran for president, his uncle was president, his uncle was senator, and yet his campaign is the most anti-establishment of all the campaigns. Running against what most people have said about vaccines, running against the party orthodoxy on things like the border, running against sort of the way that politics is happening, running against sort of the influence of corporate America in the way that our society is now formed. And so it's fascinating to talk to him. Somebody who lives in a wealthy part of Los Angeles, is married to one of the stars of Curb Your Enthusiasm, knows a lot of Hollywood celebrities, but at the same time has a message that is so populist and so different from what you usually hear in the Democratic Party.
How did he look in person? And I say that because you look at these pictures of him on Muscle Beach in Venice Beach, and he looks like the pro wrestler China.
Well, it was sort of strange in that we were at his place, but before he did the interview with us, he went and took a hot tub. And so my first sight of him was shirtless. He looks great. He looks great. Clearly, he works out a lot. Clearly, that's important to him. Clearly, that's important to his message. But he looks very fit and very tan.
Did he look
Did you
natural?
get a hot tub?
I didn't, but I said next time we should do the interview in the hot tub because that would probably go viral and be quite an interesting thing. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're not letting Joe debate him. Because if they think he's going to have a roid rage incident, they want to keep Joe away.
Oh.
Well, imagine Joe Biden on the debate stage calling Robert F. Kennedy Jr. his favorite insult.
He's a lion, dog-faced pony soldier.
Which is not a movie.
Okay.
Now, there was just a poll that came out that showed him at 17%,
Yeah.
which is
it's
almost 1 out of 5 Democrats.
It's interesting the way that the sort of, and I hate to use the phrase mainstream media treats him, but it really is kind of true that he is talked about often as sort of a sideshow, a fringe candidate, a conspiracy theorist, all of that. His poll numbers are as good as any of the Republican candidates compared to Trump. Basically, he's in line with where DeSantis is in that nomination. And all these other candidates, Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley and all these folks get a ton of media attention. But if you're just basing it off of polls, he's closer to Biden than they are to Trump.
Have you guys had Marianne Williamson on the show yet?
I have, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did she try to sell you crystals?
She did not try to tell me crystals. She was a very nice person.
I've been thinking who could be a great running mate for her should she get the nomination.
Yeah.
Tyler Henry.
We had him on too.
He's been.
We had him on too.
Yeah, he's the medium that apparently communicates with the afterlife.
We tried to get him to do a reading with us. He wasn't going for it.
No.
He's very popular on the Netflix.
He is very
Yes.
popular on the Netflix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Alex, you were just up in Sacramento as well at that big Politico event where Gavin Newsom had that interview where he announced He wants the Supreme Court to get involved with this lawsuit in San Francisco where they can't clear the homeless encampments.
Yeah, very interesting. Basically, Governor Newsom is hoping that the Republican conservative Supreme Court will help him against the progressive judges that are happening here on the West Coast. He is frustrated that a lot of progressive judges have made it very difficult to clear homeless encampments. He thinks that there are unnecessary things being put up that stop him from being able to do what he wants when it comes to the homeless, and that he is sending an amicus brief to the Supreme Court, hopefully on behalf of trying to make some of these rules basically tougher for homeless people.
As two journalists who have covered Gavin Newsom from his initial election in 2018, prior to that as mayor of San Francisco, lieutenant governor, certainly through the recall, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not he wants to run for the presidency at some point in the future.
Do we still call it speculation?
Well, there was just a piece that dropped in the LA Times that George Skelton wrote, where he said he is starting to believe that Newsom is not going to run for president, and he believes that Newsom's severe dyslexia will be the reason that he will not run for president, because he has a very difficult time reading teleprompters, he hates giving political speeches, and if you're president, there's no way you can avoid that, and he believes that because of the dyslexia, Newsom legitimately has no interest in running for that office.
I mean, that is interesting. He does hate doing teleprompter speeches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one speech a year that he would do that way was the State of the State, because he had to lay out a certain number of things, and he wanted to have it very precise. And he would practice for hours and hours and hours and hours on the prompter and trying to memorize every word of it. I mean, it's a huge ordeal. So much so that this year he didn't give a State of the State, because I don't think he felt like he needed to, and he didn't want to go through all of that.
Instead, he went on tour.
Yeah, he went on tour and gave a bunch of speeches and got more attention probably for doing it. Okay, there you go. I don't know. I mean, the question is, the question is, what will the path be for him? You know, realistically, the best moment, I think, for Governor Newsom to run for president would be if Joe Biden announces that he's not running, and for him to jump in right now. Because if he has to wait 4 years from now, and either Kamala Harris is running as an incumbent president, or, you know, you have a crowded field that includes a lot of other popular governors who would then be in office. I mean, Governor Newsom will be out of office for 2 years in 2028, which makes him not as relevant, not as interesting. There's people like Wes Moore in Maryland, who kind of feels like a new version of Barack Obama. There's Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, a swing state, who's been very popular there. There's Gretchen Whitmer, a governor of another swing state, Michigan, on top of all the senators, on top of Pete Buttigieg, on top of everybody else. It's not clear in 2028 that he would be a favorite or be able to win that race.
And you just had on Chris Matthews last week on your political show, The Issue Is.
Right.
And his take on Newsom was pretty clear, that enough already. Just announce that you are running for the presidency.
Yeah, he says if you want to run, you know, say that you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's basically described him as being in an on-deck circle, taking swings, but not able to get up to the plate. And it's interesting. We also had Ro Khanna on last week, who's not especially close with Gavin Newsom, shall we say, who's a congressman from the Silicon Valley. And I asked him about his presidential aspirations, because everybody assumes he wants to be president. And he admitted, he said, every person that's run for dog catcher sees themselves as president, which I think was his way of saying, yeah, I'm interested in that too, and basically saying, of course, Gavin's interested.
The interview that you did with Matthews was great on so many levels. But Chris Matthews, before he became a television personality and an author, worked for Tip O'Neill,
right,
who was the Speaker of the House when Ronald Reagan was president. And Chris Matthews was in the room when Tip O'Neill and Reagan had one of their first meetings. And in that meeting, Reagan said, I think we'll be able to get along just fine. I was able to get along with Jess Unruh back in Sacramento, and we had a great working relationship, and I think we can do that here. And Matthews said that Tip O'Neill was extremely dismissive about state government, and said, well, that's the Mud Hens. You're playing for the Yankees now, so just forget all of that. This is a different world.
Yeah, but then of course they ended up having a pretty productive relationship over the years, and it seemed to work out. Those two, old Irishmen that got along and got a lot of stuff done. I mean, that though was a very different era in politics, if you think about it. The incentive structure was very different. The media landscape was very different. Most people were getting their news from just a few sources who were all about reaching as broad an audience as possible, and they tried to play it down the middle. Now, most of the incentive is to get on cable, which is either on the left or on the right. The stuff on social media that does the best is the most partisan, often the most angry, and so the incentive structure for bipartisan compromise that may have existed in the 1980s Reagan-Tip O'Neill era doesn't really exist in the Joe Biden-Kevin McCarthy era.
Let me ask you, though, given George Skelton and his take that Gavin is not going to run because of his dyslexia, would you be surprised if that's his reason?
I mean, that makes sense that would be a reason to not run. He also has young kids, and I could see, I don't think he's going to run if he doesn't see a path. And I think it is also complicated for him, not impossible. He says he won't do it, but it is complicated for him as a Democrat to run against Kamala Harris, if that so happens, somebody who he's known forever, and in a Democratic Party that would like to see a woman president and would like to see another black president. That is hard to do as a wealthy white man. It is.
They also share the same consultant.
They share the same consultant, and the Democratic Party has moved to move the primary schedule so that South Carolina is the first state, which is very helpful to Joe Biden, which of course is the state that helped make him the nominee, and very helpful to a black female potential candidate in Kamala Harris when the #1 constituency there is black women.
Now, all through the COVID-19 pandemic, we had a certain fake doctor here in Los Angeles County that imposed mask mandates, school closures, shutdowns, you name it, on the people of Los Angeles County.
No, thank you.
There you go. Thank you very much, Babs. I appreciate that. And when she would issue these edicts, she shut off the ability for you to ask her questions on the social media accounts. You couldn't put out alternate evidence. You couldn't interact with her in any public forum. The only way we got any kind of questions asked and answered from Barbara Ferrer through the COVID-19 pandemic was because Marla Tellez would show up to the press conference and ask them. So give her a big warm hand for providing that service for the people of Los Angeles County.
Nobody else.
Thank you.
Usually by
Thank you.
yourself.
Yeah, it was me and her staff there.
And her masks.
And she faithfully had her mask on. She did hold a briefing, which was expected just yesterday. She said when she held her first in-person that had been, 6 months since her last one, that she would be holding another one to announce the new guidance for the new COVID booster. So that happened yesterday. I was not there. It was at a local park, a vaccination site. She was not wearing a mask. When I put out the image of that, I got a lot of, first thing, it didn't matter the content that I put out about when the booster will be available. And by the way, in LA County, it'll be available by midweek next week. Everybody just reacted to the fact that she was maskless. Again, I wasn't there, but it was outside. And so I assume that that's why she didn't have a mask on.
Do we know if she used PowerPoint?
Next slide.
Randy, we can always count on you for the next slide. Or I have no idea. You got that one, Andy?
Oh, yes, I do.
I have no idea.
But she did have a little bit of a different tone, though, yesterday. And I was struck by that. And let me just say this. She was asked about, and one of the reasons, let me also make this clear, as to why I wasn't there, because I asked prior, is there going to be any major announcement? Is there going to be any strong recommendation on the cusp of a mandate announcement? And I was told no, and I trusted that. And so I did not take the time to physically go yesterday, but still paid attention, still watched her. And the tone that she took yesterday, she was asked, how close are we to getting to the medium tier? We're still in the low tier, and by the way, the cases and hospitalizations have begun to plateau, not just here locally, but across the country. So the, quote, surge that we have recently experienced is now plateauing. That's good news. But in terms of when she was asked that question, she said, "I don't even want to talk about that." And that was a little different, right? She said, I don't even want to estimate if we will get to the medium tier, which typically she would already have a target date in mind. We're going to be in the medium tier by October 1st. She's often had these estimates laid out, projections. She said, I'm not even going to project that. I don't foresee that. We already have the tools in place. No need to talk about it. It's not going to happen, sort of a thing. So I was struck by that.
Are you surprised that she didn't step down after the pandemic,
No.
the way that Fauci did and Birx did? Because she just gave an interview with Channel 35 where she said she has no plans of leaving anytime soon.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, the county's even facing the lawsuit that's brought forward by Julie Hamill, who I know you've had on. They go to trial mid-October, and you know, I know that she's ultimately unfazed by that. And that was all in line with the first point that you brought up about that. It was August 21st of last year that they shut off all the public commenting, and there's no access to the health department in that form. You can email the department, but I'm not surprised at all.
John, are you surprised that the county hasn't encouraged her to retire?
Oh, I can't believe that they haven't given her walking papers yet.
Do they think there's
I mean,
going to be blowback?
They would need 3 votes to do that, right? And apparently there aren't the 3 votes. We know Catherine Barger would probably go for that.
And Janice Hahn.
Yeah, so the third person which would be Holly Mitchell or Lindsay Horvath, apparently are not on that train.
Or
Well,
Hilda
or
Solis.
Hilda
Hilda
Solis.
Solis,
Hilda
yeah.
Solis. Yeah.
All right, so later on tonight, Elex, the issue is going to air. What do you have coming up on the big show?
So we got Robert Kennedy Jr., that extended conversation. We also talk with Republican candidate for president Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, here in California this week. Stop by our studio. And then tonight at 6 o'clock, when Marla and I are on, we have Sydney Kamlager-Dove, the congresswoman for this area, will be on with us in studio as well.
We'll also have Mike Miller. He's the regional representative for UAW, and I heard you two on my way in talking about the auto strike and how long that will last and the impact to consumers. And it's sort of a limited targeted strike, though, just to be clear. It's of the 145,000 UAW workers, fewer than 13,000 have walked off. So it's not like the entire industry, all plants are shut down. So we're going to talk to him about that and then the impact to you, the consumer.
So these are the plans for tonight at 6, unless someone steals a Lamborghini again.
Oh, yes.
Or a Rolls.
You enjoy the pursuits?
Yeah, yeah.
But Randy, I think the one that was being stolen earlier was a Altima.
Oh, yes, it was. We'll pull it up for the next break, John.
Or if I have a glass of wine before I head into the studio,
Yeah.
things might
Can
change.
I just want to take this opportunity to give you both a shout out for being so supportive of us and the service
Yes,
that you
thank
provide.
you.
And a big
Thanks
shout
so
out to the
much.
crowd
Thank you.
coming out. It is so fun
Yeah.
to meet so many of your listeners here. Thank
So
you all
great.
for coming out.
I wish they
Cheers
could all
to
be in
you.
studio tonight at
I
6.
know. We need a
So
studio
fun.
audience. That's
Me
what we
too.
learned from this today.
Well,
Thank
when
you guys.
Gelson's opens the wine bar across the street from Fox 11, y'all will have to do the 6 o'clock news out there.
Yeah.
We should.
And drink during it. Wouldn't that be a more fun show?
It would be.
I'd
Yeah.
be done by 6:30 though.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marla Tellez and Elex
Thank
Michaelson.
you.
from
Thank you
Fox
so much.
11. It's 1:34 on this Jimmy Buffett Friday on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. And Randy, we are continuing our broadcast from Century City.
That's right. We are live at the Gelson's in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center. The sun has come out. It is gorgeous out here. It's actually getting a little warm, so I see a bunch of people going in the Gelson's and getting that CVT soft serve, the soft serve in a tube that they sell here at Gelson's. It's fantastic. Of course, we're broadcasting live from the wine bar here at the Gelson's in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center. Come on down, have lunch with us. A lot of people are having sushi. The burger's fantastic. Sandwiches are $2 off this month. Tastings are $2 off on Fridays for beer and for wine. They got great beers on tap, and they've got some great California wines that they're pouring for you, including Foxen, Brewer Clifton. I could go on forever and ever and ever. But we're having a great time out here. We're about halfway done, but that means there's still 90 more minutes to get down here and say hi, take a picture. We got giveaways. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And we're so thankful to everyone that came out here. This is a huge crowd. You guys are the best.
And, of course, if you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com.
And, John, I just looked at the mailbag, and someone did some research during the break. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. Before she was public health director, LA County Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer was trying to be a backup singer for Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly. Didn't she grab her crotch a bunch of times, too?
Hee.
All right, it's 1:36. That means it's time for headlines. It's 1:40. On the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. Jimmy Buffett Friday, live from Culver City.
Well, live from Century City. We're usually live from Culver City.
I've got Culver City on the mind.
Well, we're in Century City at the
Different
Gelson's
city.
in Century City at the Westfield
How about
Shopping
Kansas
Center.
City?
You just heard Cheeseburger in Paradise. They're serving one right here, the world-famous cheeseburger, at the Gelson's Wine Bar. That's where we've been broadcasting since noon. We're here till 3. There is a ton of people out here. People are having beer, they're having wine, they're having soft serve ice cream, they're having sushi. This is a blast. We are really taking advantage of Jimmy Buffett Friday. We want to thank everyone for coming out, hanging out with us today. We're here till 3 o'clock. If you're in the car, you can still get here. We're in Century City on Santa Monica Boulevard in Century Park West in the Westfield Shopping Center. As soon as you park in the parking structure, there's the Gelson's, and we're at the wine bar. We're here till 3 o'clock. Tony will take care of you there, get you a great wine, get you a great flight of beer. We're having a great day out here.
Okay, now I've got a question for the audience. Since we're broadcasting from a grocery store, and not just a grocery store, but a very good one in Gelson's, have any of you seen Katie Porter?
And that's Porter, right?
I said it right.
You did. Some people who email us, they misspell it. And I always think maybe it's the AM radio where they hear it differently, but it's Porter.
You know, one of these days we're going to have a spelling bee on this show because I see a lot of people making that very same mistake. We used to have those on Fridays back at elementary school.
Now, John, you had made a point earlier about the auto strike and that it could have a lot of implications to the auto industry, and it might make people need to be searching for used cars instead of new cars. Well, we do have an announcement about a car that's in the parking lot.
Is that so?
That's an Altima LTMA 4899410. Please move it now. You're blocking someone.
I love how we're playing a drop from 17 years ago on a radio station that doesn't exist anymore. Long live KLSX.
All right, we've got much more coming up from the Gelson's in Century City here in Los Angeles. Randy and I are going to be here until 3. Right now it's time for KABC Dependable Traffic. It's 1:49 on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. Jimmy Buffett Friday, broadcasting live from Gelson's on Santa Monica Boulevard.
That's right. We're in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center, Santa Monica Boulevard in Century Park West. Park in the parking structure. And right out there is the Gelson's, this beautiful, gorgeous Gelson's that has their own wine bar. Tons of people coming down, getting the sushi, getting the burger, getting the beers, getting the wines. It's a gorgeous Jimmy Buffett Friday. I'll be drinking with all y'all as soon as it's 3:01. And now, there are 27 beautiful, gorgeous, premium Gelson's throughout Southern California. I go to the one in Encino, but I'm also very close to the one in Tarzana and Sherman Oaks. So when they have that 30% off wine sale 4 times a year, I go to all 3 of them and I clear out the shelves. But I'm very excited to announce there's going to be a 28th location. Next month, Gelson's is opening a brand new location right near here, West LA on Olympic and Bundy, with an even bigger wine bar. So we're definitely going to have to celebrate that.
They have a beautiful movie theater here, too. This is, in fact, where I used to go to the movies. And I used to always find out what time the movie started from the LA Times because I was old school like that. And I came down to the movie theater here because the movie I wanted to see was supposed to start at, let's say, I don't know, 5:30. And I showed up and they said, oh, no, that movie started an hour ago. And I said, no, look, in the LA Times right here, it says it's supposed to start at 5:30. And that turned out to be a misprint. So they took care of me. They said you can see any movie you want that's starting within the next hour, because there were only 2 starting within the next hour. And I was there with my friend Brooke. My friend Brooke is one of these people who's Ivy League educated. She wears a beret, for heaven's sakes. And she was very excited about this movie. The 2 options we had were the Jonas Brothers or Saw 16.
What'd you go with?
We ended up seeing Saw 16. And as you can imagine, within the first 30 seconds of the movie, someone's head got stuck in a wood chipper. By the time we were done, Brooke was catatonic and could not talk. And unfortunately, at that time, this grocery store was not here. So I had to take her to a different location, order her a very hard beverage, and take it from a straw and put it in her mouth like a loving mother penguin to bring her back to life.
Should have seen the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, no kidding. Just our luck. On that particular weekend, we had the Jonas Brothers who saw 16, and Ernest wasn't saving Labor Day.
That's the kind of variety you get at the movie theater. You know, this movie theater here at the Westfield Century City, our program director, Lewis, who lives in the Valley and works like I do in Culver City, he doesn't want to deal with the traffic, so he comes down here and sees a movie until the 405 opens up.
Yeah. And listen to this. We've been broadcasting here for what, 2 hours and 51 minutes?
Yes.
It's 1:51 in the afternoon, and we haven't even seen one smash and grab the whole time we've been here.
This is a gorgeous mall. This is a safe and secure mall, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, and the people who do the smash and grabs, I don't even think they wake up until 3.
Well, and you don't want to do that when you're down here, because I'm getting to know a lot of the audience members here, and one thing that we always notice when we have these live events, we have a lot of current and former law enforcement that listen to this show. So don't mess with us.
That's right. It's 1:56 on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. Broadcasting live from Gelson's in Century City at 10250 Santa Monica Boulevard.
That's right on Santa Monica and Century Park West at the Westfield Shopping Center. We've had an incredible day here. We're not done yet. We've had a huge crowd come out. It's so much fun meeting the people that listen to the show, meeting some of the people that email the show and call the show and participate in the show. We have, I have said it, and I'll say it a million times, the best audience in Los Angeles radio listens to this show.
Without a doubt. Now, as all of you know, at the end of the year, we always have a contest to see which sound clip is the most popular sound clip of the year. And last year, we had a big winner, Randy.
That's right. Last year, the most popular clip was the first clip that really took off into the stratosphere when you had people robbing a gas station in the Lakewood area by bringing up a van and stealing the gas right from the tap. And the owner of that gas station talked to Ed Laskos at Fox 11, and he blamed the cashier.
If the cashier is dummy.
That was a runaway winner.
That, hands down, was the most popular drop, but it was a little close. For a while, it was going to be the 2 ladies in Reseda who witnessed a man getting his watch stolen.
I know.
Now, if people want a sound clip emailed to them, they have to email you at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com, and you're happy to send those clips out.
That's right. We've been doing this for quite a while. If you email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and email your request, I'll send you whatever you want. You want some Barbara Ferrer?
Next slide.
You want some Gavin Newsom? You want some Hilda Solis?
Quite frankly,
You want some Janice Hahn?
That's your final warning.
Contender for this year's drop of the year. All you got to do is ask. I'll send you an MP3. I don't know what you do with them. Maybe you can make a ringtone. Maybe you play them for your friends. We haven't had anyone do it yet, but we really want someone to call in to the public comment line at the LA City Council meetings and play some of these drops for them. I would love to see that happen on Channel 35. But whatever you want, we'll email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com, and we'll provide you any drop that you like from this show.
Yes, and if you were to play one of these during an LA City Council meeting, it would be a welcome break from the nonstop cursing.
That's right. Most of our clips are clean. Most of them.
Enough already.
All right, we've got one more hour coming up from Century City. We're going to be here until 3 on this Jimmy Buffett Friday, right here on Talk Radio 790 KABC.